Okay, many years ago, I made my very first deck guide. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. It is terrible. Everybody thought so. It was straight hot garbage. It was a Clothis, God of Destiny, Victory, Destiny. It was that deck. It was so bad. I thought it was hot stuff because it was like the best in my decks, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good!" But it's only because Clothis was good, right? It wasn't because the deck itself was good. It's just because it had a lot of really good value, and I could get Clothis out turn 2 or 3 pretty early on. So yeah, that morphed into a Neyith of the Dire Hunt deck, as you're seeing here. That was great. I've had this deck for a very long time, and then they announced Slinza, and I had to put Slinza. This has been a red-green beast deck for years, and Slinza was the perfect commander. Beast spells cost 2 less. Each other beast enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and when something 4 or greater enters, you can pay 2 and have Slinza fight something. Slinza was just designed for me. He's so good. I love it. So this thing, cheap version, $391.46. Probably cheaper because the way Moxfield works, none of the cards go below 35 cents. So it's a little iffy there, but roughly $390 for the cheapest version. My version, which you're going to see here, all the cards that I have specifically, is like $530. Anyway, Slinza, the spiked Stampede, has some bread and butter. Anzrag the Quake Mole, which is not actually a beast, but it's really good gruel. And whenever it becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat, there's an additional combat phase, and you can make it so he can be blocked. So this actually paired really well with Neyith, because Neyith makes things be able to block, and whenever your creatures get blocked or they fight, they draw a card, which was perfect for Anzrag, but I think it also works fairly well for Slinza. We'll get into a little bit more of that here in a second with a specific card, but Bloated Contaminator. It's another beast, trample, toxic 1, so 4/4 for 3. When it deals combat damage to the player, proliferate. So you can proliferate all the counters that Slinza puts on your beasts. Brawn, if it's in your graveyard and you have a forest, all your creatures have trample, which is just great and really effective. Cultivator Colossus, another beast. Power and definition equal number of lands you control, and when it enters, enters the battlefield. The land from your hand on the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card, repeat the process. Abundance is also in the deck. We'll get to that later, but that's a 2-card combo. You just pull out every single land in your deck, just put it out into play, which is awesome. Then there's Elder Gargaroth. Thank you. Shout out to Chris for giving me this card so many years ago. He's just like, yeah, I don't want it here. It's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. But anyway, Vigilance, Reach, Trample, 6/6. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you can create a 3/3 beast, gain 3 life, or draw a card. Great stuff. The beast will enter with an additional +1 counter on them. Keep that in mind, which is awesome. Garruk's Harbinger deals combat damage. It's got Hexproof from black, which is cool. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, look at that many cards from the top of your library, and you can put a creature or a Garruk from among them into your hand. There's no Garuks in the deck, so it's just whatever creatures. So that's good. Gore Clan Rampager. I don't know if I may have cast this once, but the Blood Rush ability it's like channel for attacking creatures. So you pay red-green and discard it. Target attacking creature gets 4/4 and trample till end of turn. I think this has won me the game before, because you can't counter it unless you can counter a specific. You can counter a trigger or an ability. So I love Blood Rush. Gruul Rage Beast. Whenever it or another creature enters, that creature fights target creature and opponent controls. So this and all my other creatures will fight things, which is some pretty decent removal. Clothis, God of Destiny. Look, she's back here in the deck. She's actually not in the deck for a long time, and I just put her back in because even though it's not a beast, it's got graveyard removal, which is actually really quite good, or extra like ramp kind of stuff. So you're removing, or it deals damage, and you gain life, or you add mana, well, depending on what you exile from graveyards, which happens every turn, and it's an indestructible 4/5. So yeah, like I said before, like just general good stuff. So skews it a little bit, right? Gonna rescue Beastie. This is a new one, and it's really good. When it becomes tapped, in your beginning of your second main phase, if it's tapped, you can put a permanent from your hand on the battlefield. Just boop, slap it down for free, just because you can. And it's pretty good. I like it. I didn't put all the crazy combos in it because I'm like, look, it's a beast deck. It's probably going to swing at some point, so that I can put something out. So anyway, Loot Exuberant Explorer. You can play additional lands on each of my turns, and then pay 4 green, look at the top 6, reveal a creature with mana value less than the number of lands you control, less than or equal to the number of lands you control, and put it on the battlefield. Just pay 6, bloop, plops the creature out that's potentially beefy. Fun stuff. I like Loot a lot. His tail makes me uncomfortable though, because it's got a hole in it. I don't know. That's weird. Monvali Beast Tracker. This is a tutor. So when it enters, you search for a creature card with either Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, or Trample. Reveal it and put that. Shuffle your library and put it on top. You can search for a lot of stuff in the deck, as you'll see. Lots of stuff has one of those keywords. Back here, we've got Neyith of the Dire Hunt. Again, whenever one or more creatures you control fight or become blocked, you draw a card. And then at the beginning of combat, you can pay 3, and if you do, you double target creature's power, and then it must be blocked. Great. Again, with Anzrag, it's like 16 power if you pay for it, and then it has to be blocked, and then it's additional combat. It's really good. Protean Hulk, when it dies, you search for any number of creatures with total mana value 6 or less, put them onto the battlefield. You can search for any number of things, right, totaling 6. There's a bunch of stuff in here, or you just get one that's 6, you get a 1 and a 5, you can get a 3 and a whatever, 3 and a 3. You get it. Protean Hulk's really good. Proud Wild Bonder has won me many games. Trample, creatures you control with Trample you may have this creature assign its combat damage as though it were not blocked. So you can just swing, and who cares if your creatures are going to die? They just deal damage to the opponent anyway. It's great stuff. Questing Beast, of course. This is actually the original. Right, before Neyith, before Clothis, Questing Beast was my commander. But I think adding red really helped. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, can't be blocked with creatures power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. And when it deals combat damage to an opponent, it does that much damage to target planeswalker they control. So much wording on Questing Beast. Probably one of the best creatures ever printed currently, in my opinion. There's just so much happening. It's a fantastic card. Skarga Goliath is another Blood Rush ability. 9/9 with Trample is actually pretty darn good. And then, or you could discard it, pay 5 green, discard it, target attacking creature gets +9/+9 and Trample till end of turn. That's always just a fun ability to play. Again, hard to counter. Vexing Shusher makes it so your spells can't be countered, or just any spell in general, right? I'm just like, nope, it can't be countered, right? And I could play with the board a little bit, and this itself can't be countered. Vigor, this is the goat in this deck. It's got a Darth Vader helmet, but Trample, if damage would be dealt to another creature you control, you prevent it and put that many +1/+1 counters on it for each damage prevented. This is a broken card. I love Vigor so much. Vigor's a problem. Like if you get it out, you're like, you've got to remove the thing. But anyway, if it's put in a graveyard from anywhere, you just shuffle it back into your library. So maybe I can go search for it later. But yeah, Vigor's fantastic. Some card advantage here. Again, we got Abundance, which with the Cultivator Colossus, right? So if we draw a card, we can choose land or non-land, and then reveal cards until we find one of that type. And then put that card into our hand. So, right, Cultivator Colossus is like, draw a card, and if it's a land, or like, you put a land from your hand on the battlefield. If it's a land, you do it again. and when you draw a card, right, you replace the abundance trigger with it. So you just search for a land, and search for your land. Get all lands for your deck, dump them out. Good stuff. Also, it's just generically good because we can choose what we want at any given time when we would draw a card, which is really nice. Beast Whisperer, whenever you cast a creature, draw a card. There are 30 creatures in the deck, so we should be able to get that. Elemental Bond, creature power 3 or like greater enters. We draw a card. Great. Explore with Yargle. You may play an additional land this turn and then draw a card. Just generically good again. I love that. Garruk's Pack Leader is a beast. It does the same thing as Elemental Bond. 3 or greater enters. We draw a card, and it's a beast. Garruk's Uprising, 4 or greater enters, draw a card, and that gives our creatures trample. And same thing when it enters, we'll draw a card if we've got a power of 4 or greater. Harmonize just draws 3 cards. Again, generic good stuff. Momentous Fall, we can, as an additional cost, you sacrifice a creature, then draw cards equal to that creature's power, and then gain life equal to its toughness. This is great. This comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh, you're going to kill my 15/15? Okay, I'm going to just sacrifice it, draw 15, then gain 15. It's fun. It's fun. Rishkar's Expertise. Draw cards equal to greatest power among creatures you control, speaking of, and then you can cast a card with CMC 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like that one. Wireward Savage is actually really cool because whenever a beast comes into play, you may draw a card, and that's any beast from anybody. And that equals, like with Elder Gargaroth, whenever it attacks or blocks or whatever, you make a 3/3 beast. This could trigger, and then you've drawn a card. It's good. It's one of those in there that's an old one that I think needs a little reprint, you know? Disruption, we got another beast, but when it enters, we destroy an artifact, and then artifacts our opponent's control enter that if tapped. So that's just, you know, green is the enemy of artifacts basically. So it's fun and it's good. It's removal as well. Enablers, so we got Rhythm of the Wild. So our creatures' spells can't be countered, and then our non-token creatures we control have Riot, so they'll enter with a +1/+1 counter or haste. Really good. Unnatural Growth, beginning of each combat, we double the power and toughness of each creature we control. Unnatural Growth is nasty when you get it out. Of course, it's one green. Ugh, it's hard. It's sometimes hard to get, but I don't know. Last game I had like 100 mana or something available, so this wasn't a problem. But anyway, Seed Time. Extra turn spell in green. Take an extra turn after this one if an opponent played a blue spell this turn. It might be 100% worthless if nobody's playing blue, but it could be fun. It could take an extra turn just out of the blue, and everybody's gonna be like, "What the frick?" It's a fun one. Engines. I was going to talk about this. So Maskwood Nexus. So about a little less than half of the creatures in the deck are not beasts. This turns them into beasts. So there are every creature type. Same is true for creature spells we control and creature cards we own that aren't on the battlefield. And then we can pay 3 and tap it to create another beast, like a 2/2, which will enter the counter. So it's a 3/3, right? So this is a really good card, I think, in this deck. I don't know, maybe it's unnecessary, maybe you should put more beasts in it, I don't know. You just need enough card draw and advantage to be able to get stuff, and I think adding this allows all those other really good creatures to become beasts and become even better. So that's why I've got it in here. Finishers, of course, we've got Craterhoof Behemoth. That's, 5/5 haste enters. Our creatures gain trample and XX, where X number of creatures we control. Just great. And raise Forerunners. If you don't have the money for Craterhoof Behemoth, I actually pulled one, so that was fun. This one is $37 cheaper. But when it enters, each other creature we control gets 2/2 vigilance and trample till end of turn. So it's not nearly as big of a thing, but it costs the same amount of mana. It's actually bigger originally, and it gives our creatures vigilance as well. So that's just kind of a fun one. And then Triumph of the Hordes, 1/1 trample and infect for all our creatures. This is also 1 games because Infect is nasty. Our flex spots, right? We've got a Stomp, which target creature we control deals damage equal to its power to target creature. It's almost like a fight effect, or it's just a land if we need. It'll probably almost always be a land, to be perfectly honest. But I guess it depends on what's going on. But this could be really good as a removal or just another land. And all our lands down here, right? We just got some Gruul lands, right? We got Dryad Arbor in here, the cool white bordered one. It's so ugly. Anyway, but I like it. It's cool. It's kind of hard to look at. But you know, Copperline Gorge and the Pretty Forests, Gruul Turf, Kessig Wolf Run, give something XO and Trample if need be, and then a bunch of Mountain Forests and Skarg the Rage Pits, 1/1 Trample with those, One Foothills Abandoned, Temple Abandoned, yeah, all that stuff. Protection, we got Obscuring Haze. We can cast it for free if we have our commander, and we prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures our opponents control. Oh, jeez, excuse me. Oh, yeah, a burp and a yawn at the same time. Wow, that's fun. So our creatures will still do damage, and then they're basically protected for the turn. So that's awesome. Cultivate, or Ramp. Here we go. We got Cultivate. I don't care what anybody says. I like Cultivate, and I love this art, so it's in the deck. But I've also got Flare of Cultivation, so I've got the Power Crept one. I had to hard cast this last time. I didn't feel good, but I hard cast it, and then it was just a regular Cultivate, right? But Endish Restoration is also a Cultivate, but if you control a creature's power 4 or greater, instead you search up to 3 basic lands, all onto the battlefield tapped. So that's an easy one to abuse in this kind of a deck. Also, it's an instant, which is really good. Way better than Cultivate. Just kidding. I love you, Cultivate. Fanatic of Ronus. Again, power 4 greater. We add green. Yeah. There's another really power crept card. Jeez, it's really good though. Goblin and Archomancer, not strictly ramp, right? But it makes our spells cost 1 less, which is actually pretty good in red and green. Just bring those costs down. Rampant, it's all our spells too. Rampant Growth, search for basic and tapped. Roiling Regrowth, sack 1, go get 2. Skyshroud Claim, go search for 2 just any forests, untapped, if they enter untapped. Soul Ring, of course, and then we got Traverse the Outlands. So we search for up to X basics, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. We put them on the battlefield tapped. This got me, I don't know, Gavin or Joe, you might have to remind me in the comments. How many lands did I get with this the last game we played? It was like, I don't know, it's like 15 or something ridiculous. But I love Traverse the Outlands. It's so fun. Virtue of Strength. I also, right after I played Traverse the Outlands, I played Virtue of Strength. So I had a lot of mana that game. The triples your mana as you tap them. Produces 3 times as much, and then it's got an adventure with Garenbrig Growth to return a creature or land from a graveyard or hand. And that was really beneficial as well. I had so much mana. I played that, and then I played this, and then I still had mana to do other things. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good game. Removal, we got another beast. Anguirus Armored Killer. This is just a gem raiser. You might have seen it. This guy right here. Not the fallen one. That one, or that one, right? Anyway. Gem raiser. When it mutates, you destroy an artifact or enchantment. It's the only mutate thing in the deck, which I don't think it doesn't really matter. It just has to go bloop, and then it destroys something. So that's just a one and done. But I don't know. I could pick something a 4/4 with reach and trample, so that's fun. It's actually, I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, beast. That's very appropriate. I already had thought of that, but then I just saw it again, and it like triggered something in my brain. Anyway, destroy permanent and create a creature, a 3/3 beast. It's decent green removal, whatever. Blasphemous Act, 13 damage to each creature. Comes in handy. Decimate, destroys an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a land. And yes, each of those has to be on the battlefield in order to play this, because it says and, right? This has removed a lot of really good things for me in the past. And yeah. Denting Blows, or a Crozen Grip. A split second, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Just good. I like it. Guttural Response is a green counter spell that counters a blue instant, which is really fun. It's actually a Gruul counter spell, which is really dumb. I like it. Nihila's Intervention. This is almost exclusively going to be used for destroying creatures with flying, I guess dealing damage to creatures with flying, or you can search for X lands into your hand and shuffle, right? But I don't know. Either way, I've only almost ever used it for destroying creatures with flying. This is pretty good at that. Primal Might. The target creature we control gets XX till end of turn, and then it fights up one target creature we don't control. That kind of went with the Neyith thing of fighting, and I don't know. But it's also pretty good because you can give something quite a lot for X, and then it fights something. You can swing with it, whatever. It's pretty cool. Oops, and then we've got our Tutors with Court of Calling. Search for our creature spell with mana cost X or less. Put it into play. Pretty awesome. Finale of Devastation does the same, but it's one less green. Does not have Convoke, but if you pay 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and haste till end of turn, which is... Whew, that's great. I also played that one game. Natural Order. We sacrifice a green creature to search for a different green creature into play, and shuffle. It's just you want all the tutors you can get, right? And then you got Worldly Tutor, right? Search for a creature and then shuffle, put it on top, play this at the end of somebody's turn, and then you're cooking with gas. Anyway, that is my Slinza deck. I again really love this deck. It's one of my favorites. Tell me what you guys think. What could I do, or what could I swap out to maybe make it better? Or do you think this is really too good? Do you think this is the worst deck you've ever seen? I don't know. Anyway, comments. Go to them. No, that's not what I was going to say. TCGplayer. Check out the affiliate link down below, as well as the Milkman proxy link, and check those suckers out because they offer some good stuff and affiliate codes and all that jazz. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.